Hello! I hope you have been enjoying this lecture series on the basic doctrines of the faith. For week 4, How Do I Have a Relationship with Jesus?, our discussion covered the doctrine of salvation, and I wanted to expand on that by interviewing 4 different missionaries about evangelism. They are serving all over the world in very different cultural and religious contexts, some for just a few years and one for 2 decades. For this first video, I interviewed Leah of Living Hope Church in Medford, Oregon. I hope you enjoy our conversation. Tell me about yourself and your work and how long you've been doing that work.
Yeah, my name is Leah and I live out in Medford, Oregon. I work at Living Hope Church out here, and I've been here for about 2 years now. I lead our college ministry specifically here. We about 20 minutes away from us is Southern Oregon University. And so we have a college ministry that functions out there. And so I kind of have been taking the charge of that. And it's been awesome. It's been really, really fun. It's a blast for sure. So I do a lot with that. I do a lot with like our media and communications and stuff. I help a lot with like our youth group and all kinds of things under the sun. We're a pretty small church. And so I do a little bit of everything. But I'm from New Jersey originally, actually. Grew up, was raised there. And then I went to Liberty University in Virginia. And then through there, I got connected with Bellevue Baptist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. And I worked in their media department for a little bit, and then I worked in their missions department. And then through there, got sent out to come live and work here at Living Hope. And so it's been a whole journey of how the Lord has brought me here.
Yeah.
But I love it very, very much. I get to minister to a lot of college students specifically. It's a very postmodern context out here, very spiritually interesting, I guess is how you could
Yeah.
describe it. A lot of people are spiritual in a lot of ways, but that does not mean Christian. And there's a lot of different factors that go into
Yeah.
what we
What does that mean? I hear people say that and I don't have a frame of reference for it. So what does that mean?
of
Be
like.
spiritual but not religious.
Yes, yeah, so that's a great question. So people are very open to spiritual things and the concept of spirituality, but that's not necessarily connected to God or to Jesus or to the Bible for them. And
Okay.
so a popular one like crystals or like
Yeah.
it's kind of like engaging with the divine is how a lot of people might describe it. A big thing out here is like connecting with nature is a
Hmm.
very like spiritual practice here, but not connected to the God of the Bible. But people are very open to kind of adding things onto their spiritual experience, I guess,
Okay.
um, but not usually with like Christianity exclusively. And so spirituality is a very people are very open to that concept or like, oh, like, yeah, you worship God, I worship this, we're kind of the same.
Hmm.
Whereas I would not view that as the same, but of just that general concept of a shocking number of people are very spiritually open to things, but just that means a lot more to them than what a Christian would maybe consider.
Gotcha. So like an inclusive spirituality versus like our
Yes,
exclusive. Okay.
yes, very much
Okay.
so. Mhm.
That's fascinating. Is there a belief system besides that, or is that kind of it culturally?
I would say it's kind of a mix of several different things. I would say separate from a belief system, but definitely a cultural system. A lot of the Pacific Northwest is very liberal, very progressive, and a lot of things that tie in with that.
Hmm.
Medford specifically is actually a very interesting place because it's actually a pretty conservative area. But where in the South you would see conservatism and Christianity kind of go hand in hand, that's not the case here. And so people
Okay.
may be very conservative, but that does not mean that they are Christian
Okay.
or that they have biblical values. It's just they're politically conservative. And those things are much more separate here than they are in the South.
Okay.
Um, and so Medford specifically is a pretty conservative area, but the Pacific Northwest as a whole, and like Ashland, where SOU, the college that I minister at, is a very progressive, very liberal area. Like if whatever you might think of like Portland or LA, it's like that's pretty typical of the culture as a whole out here.
Okay.
Um, and it's just there's as far as belief systems, it's pretty much either like this postmodern like religion is dead kind of idea of
Yeah.
you're kind of dumb and naive if you still believe in God or religion or anything like that is a pretty big population. We actually have a surprising like pretty decent sized Mormon population here, actually,
Oh,
which is surprising, but there's a lot more. We're not like
yeah.
Utah or anything, but there's more than you would expect
Yeah. I know
here.
Idaho too, like has a lot, so that
Yeah.
makes sense
Yeah,
regionally.
they kind of filter their way in. So we have
Yeah.
a not a huge, but a decent sized population of Mormons.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that kind of spiritual pick your own reality, pick your own truth is
Yeah.
the big thing. So it's less like religious beliefs are the common and more of just the different cultural values. Definitely the biggest one is your truth is your truth. You can do whatever you want as long as it doesn't impact me in my life.
Yeah.
Um, and so often in having spiritual conversations with people or sharing the gospel with them, I'll get a lot of like, oh, that's so great for you. I'm so glad
Right.
that you have that, but I have my own beliefs and I don't really care about
Yeah.
that for myself.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Awesome. That's fascinating. And I think that will seep into our culture here in the Bible Belt before we know it. And so I feel like you're on the front lines of that, and we
Yeah.
have to learn from how the church is adapting and ministering those contexts because we could definitely hear those things, especially from younger generations of
Yeah.
not cultural Christians, but like cultural that
Cultural
atheist.
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah,
um,
it's interesting too of just like obviously Oregon is in the United States and but when you're kind of especially in the Bible Belt, you can kind of have these assumptions about the exposure to Christianity that most of our country has.
hmm
And I find out here more and more so that that is just not true. Like I am regularly meeting people who have never stepped foot inside of a church, don't know what the nativity scene is, couldn't tell you who King David is. They don't know
yeah,
Noah's Ark, and they've never opened a Bible in their life. They don't know a Christian. Like that is
wow,
more and more like I meet people every week who I'm the only Christian that they've actually met before. And they've never heard the gospel before in any kind of real way. They have a concept of God, they've heard of Jesus, obviously. But the only time they use God's name is as a curse word. Like they're not in circles that
yeah,
talk about God or religion. And like going to church here is a very cultural, like that is the opposite of the norm here. It like you're
hmm
considered kind of odd if you go to church regularly or at all.
yeah,
Uh, and it's crazy that that's just a very present reality in our own country of I'm regularly meeting people who do not know a Christian, have never heard the gospel, never stepped foot inside of a church,
yeah,
which is just wild.
yeah, yeah. But an important thing for us to learn from because it's coming for all of us, all
Yeah.
of our communities. Like, some more slowly than others,
Yeah.
but yeah, just that lack of the cultural understanding. So I know you mentioned the college campus is a primary piece for you. So what did it look like when you are ministering to college students, especially ones who are not already connected with your ministry? If you're like doing outreach, what does that look like? How do you reach new people?
Yeah, so we do a few different things. Our college ministry functions as a club on campus at SOU, and so we get to do just a ton of stuff on campus. And so one thing we do primarily to meet new students is we do tabling on campus, and so we just have
hmm
like a table set up in like their main student building, and we do like giveaways. So like at the beginning of the fall term, we give away an electric scooter. So we go, hey, if you come enter to win our electric scooter, like give us your number so we can contact you and then you can enter to win this. Or we give out like energy drinks or things like that just to start conversations with people, get their contact information. And then we have like a texting list that we'll send out like, hey, we've got an event tonight, whatever. So we
hmm
use that for that. So that's a huge way that we meet students is through that, as well as we help with students like moving into their dorms. We could just volunteer and help out and just have conversations with the parents and the students as we move in their stuff. And so just looking
Yeah.
for those like kind of ordinary ways to just strike up a conversation with somebody. We also do surveying on campus. And so we just have these little slips of paper that just say like name, phone number, and then on a scale of 1 to 10, how spiritual would you say you are? And so we walk around on campus and it's like, hey, we're with Engage, we're a club here on campus. We're just trying to get to know the spiritual life of the students here. Would you mind answering this one question for us? And then based on what they say, it's like if they circle a 10, it's like, that's really interesting. You circled a 10. Could you tell me more about that? Or you circled a 1. Could you tell me more about that? And just have conversations from there.
Yeah.
And we've seen numerous students get saved through that, of like getting to hear the gospel and then getting saved literally just from a survey on campus. And so
Wow.
looking for those very simple ways just to how can I start a conversation with somebody and then just see where it might go. And it is not 100% success rate by any
Yeah.
means,
Yeah.
but much more than it would be if we didn't do it. And so we do things like that. We do like fun events. We do like a Bob Ross painting night every term where I dress up as Bob Ross. I get an afro wig and
I
whatever.
love that.
Like we follow along on campuses and paint along with the Bob Ross video, which is always a big hit. We had 80 students come to that last term, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So we do fun things like that. And then we have like our regular rhythms of we do what we call large group and then life groups on Mondays and Thursdays. And so we do like teaching through different content in the Bible. Like last term, we went through the meta narrative of scriptures, like that one overarching story, Genesis to Revelation of what is the Bible teaching us? What is it telling us? And so we went through that on Mondays. And so we do like a time of teaching and then we do like small group
I love
discussions.
that. Did y'all take like a semester for that or the whole school year?
We did just a term. So it was
Okay.
9 weeks. We went Genesis to
Oh,
Revelation
wow.
in 9 weeks. It
Okay.
was crazy.
Yeah, that's
It
fast.
was a lot of content. So obviously there was a lot we had to kind of
Yeah.
skip through very quickly, but it
Yeah.
was a blast. That's so my jam.
Yeah.
The more that I can help people to see and understand that of just God is telling a story and you actually have a role in that. And
Yeah.
that's how we can read scripture and interpret it, all of that. I could talk
Yeah.
for a very long time and I talked for 9 weeks about it. So
Yeah. I love
there
that.
we go. But yeah, so we do that on Mondays and then we do our life groups on Thursdays. And we're really trying to go with this like discipleship model of we have like a leadership team with our college ministry and of, like helping empower them to be meeting students throughout like in their classes on campus whatever and then inviting
Yeah.
them to come join them in their specific life group where it's like a group of like 4 or 5 people that we're just going through the parables this semester. And so we're read a parable together, just go through a very simple method of like what do you notice in scripture, what does this teach you about God, what does it teach you about man, and like how can we apply this to our lives, and just discussion questions like that.
Yeah.
Just very simple so that it's reproducible is like
Yeah.
our goal.
Yeah.
Especially with our college students because it's just the SOU specifically is just a pretty transient college, and so we normally will only have a student for about 2 years, maybe
Okay.
3, but generally only 2 years. And then it's obviously by the terms as well, so we'll have them for 9 weeks and then there's a break and then the 9 weeks and then the break.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, if I've got 2 years with this student and then they might be going to Lord only knows where else after this, how can we make sure that they have heard and understand the gospel, that we are being faithful to teach them the word of God and how to read it for themselves, the importance of being involved in a local church, and then how to go and make disciples. And so if that's
So
what I
good.
can
That gave me
teach them,
chills. I love
then
that.
that's my goal. If I can teach them that, then I can say that I did my job well.
Yeah.
Because I want them to go where the Lord is taking them, and I want to do my best effort to train and equip them for what the Lord would have them do.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of us just trying to do that.
Yeah.
In the smaller group discipleship and as a whole, and then again equipping them to you go and find students to come and invite to your life group, and you go and have the gospel conversations. And we have like this 6-week workbook of like a discipleship training basically, and how can we take a student through that book and then help that student now take someone else through that book with them, and of just that reproducing mindset of just the disciples who make disciples who make disciples who make disciples.
Yeah.
So that's our goal. That's what we try to do.
That's amazing. How, sorry, spur of the moment question, but like how fruitful is that baton passing versus people just
Yeah.
getting it and then staying with it?
Yeah, we're specifically right now, we're just kind of in a big season of transition, but already seeing actually really incredible fruit happen. And like one of our leaders, his name is John. We met this guy, Noah, during tabling in the fall. We met him, invited him to come to our large group. He started coming, he brought his friend. And then John has walked through that workbook with Noah. And then we met this other kid, Landon, from we do this big like Survivor event, if you know like the TV show Survivor.
Yeah.
It was so fun. We did a weekend Survivor. It was a blast. And so we met this kid, Landon, who came and did our Survivor event. And then John we call them GAs, gospel appointments. And so especially during the beginning of a new term, as we're meeting a bunch of new students, we try to have as many GAs as we possibly can of just, hey, you might never come to another thing again. I want to share the gospel with you at least once. Like how can I make sure that I'm stewarding this connection as best as I can?
Yeah.
And so a big part of that is like those fun events that we have, our leaders try to do the best that they can to get people's phone numbers and to schedule a coffee with them, to get to hear their story and then to share their story and then God's story with them.
Yeah.
And so that's how we kind of function with that model. And so that's what happened. Landon came to Survivor. John had a GA with him. And then Landon's now been coming regularly to our large groups and life groups. And now Noah has finished the book with John. And now Noah is taking Landon through the discipleship book. And so we're seeing kind of multiplication, which is exactly what we're going for. And just seeing from that for sure. And so that's one specific example. Definitely seeing also of not necessarily multiplication quite yet, but in like there's a few girls I'm discipling right now that are just, the book is bringing up, like kind of using it as just like a starting point to have many, many more conversations and deeper conversations into the things that they're struggling with, that they have questions about, and who is God and what is he like? And I'm struggling with anxiety my whole life. What does God say about that? And how can he help me in that? And those kind of things. And I've had students come to me, like we've had one girl, this will be her 3rd year in our ministry. And she texted me, she's like, hey, like, I just really want to talk to a mature Christian. Like, can we hang out? I said, would love to. Don't know what you want to talk about. Would love, please come over. Came to me and she said, she's like, I know that the Lord has saved me. I've been really growing my faith and I've been really convicted that I need to share my faith with other people. How do I do that? Can you help me do that? I would love to help you do that. And of like helping people, of like her specifically, she's like, there's a part of my testimony that I'm pretty ashamed of and is hard for me to admit and to confess to people, but I know that the Lord is calling me to do that. How do I even start with that? I'm like, that's so cool that the Lord is moving enough in your life that, like, I was the first person she ever confessed these things to. And she was like, this is in the past and I don't struggle with them anymore, but I know God is telling me that I need to share this with somebody because I know he wants to use it in other people's lives to show. And I'm like, that's just insane.
That's amazing.
The Holy Spirit is definitely moving and he's just doing really, really incredible things.
That's awesome. I love that. And I want to pick your brain on so many of those details that you mentioned. So I will follow up with you on all those things. But so you mentioned being from New Jersey. You lived in, you said Tennessee?
Yes.
Memphis?
Yes, Memphis.
Okay. So is it easier for you to practice evangelism here in Medford, or New Jersey, or Tennessee? Like, if you had to pick, which one's just like the easiest? It's a weird question, I know, but like I know a lot of people think like it's easier for me to share when I'm not in my home context because I'm already out of my comfort zone. I won't see those people again. So if I do a bad job, it won't like follow me around my life at the grocery store every time I see this person. So that's kind of the heart of that question is, do you, as a pro who does it all the time, like, do you relate to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it is easiest for me to do it here than it was in Tennessee or Jersey. And there's an element to that, especially when I first got here, of like, it's like, okay, like I don't know these people. Like I don't really have that much to lose. And even with like a college student, it's like, okay, I might not see you again, after this. And there is that element that allows, I guess, a little bit more room to fail, if you will. But I would say another big part of it is just really the Lord moving in my heart and convicting me of it, and then also me allowing him to use me in that. And so like, yes, when I first came here, this was a new place and a new context, but like I live here now. This is my life, and this is what I do. And yet I would say it is easier for me to do that now more than it ever has been because I've made it a part of my life. Like the Lord has just so moved me and just so convinced me of the Great Commission, like I am here to make disciples. And that is what I have been commanded to do. And it would be disobedient to not do that. And part of making disciples is, yes, within the local church with people who are already believers and helping them grow and take their next faith steps 100%. But it's also go and tell. It's go and those people who have never heard the gospel before, who do not know the good news of Jesus Christ. And without that, are destined to spend eternity in hell. And that's
Yeah.
just the reality of it.
Yeah.
And so the Lord has just really burdened my heart for that, specifically for this area, like for the
Mm,
Pacific Northwest, for Medford, for SOU. Like I have been so, and I am so burdened for them. And I look out and I see all these students who are walking by, and I can remember conversations that I've had with them, or the way that they ran away from my table when they found out that we were a Christian club on campus. And my heart breaks for them
mm,
because I know the hope and the joy that is freely available to them, and they
yeah.
don't. And they don't see that. And it's like, man, I am just all like, I have no other choice. Like, I am compelled to do it, not because I'm like, because I'm supposed to, but it's like, how can I not?
Yeah.
Like, I know the truth of reality. Like, I know the good news that will save someone from their sin, give them freedom and joy and peace and eternal life with God. How could I not share that with them?
Yeah.
So it's something that I've just, as I've grown up and grown more mature in my faith, I've just become more and more compelled to do. But specifically for the area that I live in now, it's like I prayed to be burdened for it. And I
Yeah.
pray regularly to continue to be burdened
Mm,
for it, that I wouldn't grow apathetic and just like, oh yeah, like I have my job and I have my things and this is what I do. But it's like,
yeah.
no, there are so many people right outside my front door who need to hear the truth of the gospel. And the Lord has entrusted me with that responsibility.
Mm,
And so it is easier now, but I wouldn't say it's just because it's a new place, because it's
yeah.
not a new place for me anymore. And it's
Yeah.
just the Lord has, it's him, it's not me, because
Yeah.
I don't have that burden on my own. But if you
Yeah.
pray for the burden, the Lord will give it to you, would be
Mm,
my shortish answer to
yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's awesome. What a pep talk. That's amazing. Um, yeah. So, and we've already kind of circled around this, but North America is a lot more lost than we realize,
Mhm.
and some places are more obvious about it than others. But so if you were to brainstorm doing what you do, if you were to brainstorm a strategy for believers to get involved in evangelism here in the Bible Belt in a small town with the university in it, where would you have us go? How would you have us train? What resources do you love?
Those are great
Coach
questions.
us.
Um, okay, a few different things that I would say. If you guys are familiar with the concept of third spaces, that's something that is really kind of transformed the way that I do ministry, but also the way that I help other people do ministry is,
Hmm.
which the concept is like you have your first and second spaces are home and work. So that's where you're spending probably 85% of your time, or either at home or at work. And then so a third space is just that other place that you go. So for a lot of people, it's maybe a coffee shop they go to a lot. For a lot of people, it might be around their kids' sports or extracurriculars. Like I go to my kids' basketball games every week or whatever. Or it might be like a pottery class, or you're in a running club, or whatever, something else that you're
Hmm.
doing, that you're out in the community somewhere and somewhat consistently, somewhat regularly
The
is just,
gym.
that's just the basic. Yeah, the gym is another great one.
Yeah.
Um, and so for most people, you already have some kind of third space. You already have something, some place that you're going somewhat regularly. And so that's just a normal worldly concept. Honestly, Starbucks is a big one. Starbucks, that's part of their branding, is they want to be a third space, a place
Yeah.
where people just come hang out.
Yeah.
The Christian twist on it is like, okay, how can I look at my life and look at the place that I might already have a third space that I'm existing at, that I go to, that I know the other people who are there, and how can I leverage that for the gospel?
Mm.
And so that coffee shop that I go to, I'm there most Tuesdays at 3 p.m. or whatever it is. How can I, instead of just going up to the barista, ordering my coffee, taking it, doing my work, headphones in, and then leave, how can I get to know the barista who's taking my order, and get to know the staff who's there, and get to know the other people who might also be there at the same time
Mm.
every week, and of just opening my perspective to actually see the people who are around me and form relationships with them in order to share the gospel with them, and to love them well. And so it's not like this, oh, I'm just trying to convert everyone around me, but it's like, I want to notice and love the people around me enough that I care enough about them to share the gospel with them.
Mm.
Because if I don't share the gospel with you, then I don't care about you. Like, that's just honestly the truth.
Yeah.
Because again, if this is the greatest news I could ever have, and I don't tell it to you, it's because I don't care enough to. I don't care enough about you. I don't love you enough to do that. And so how can I add that perspective, add the eyes of Jesus to my life, because I promise he looks around and he loves these people enough to share the gospel with them. So
Yeah.
how can I make that a part of my rhythm? And so most people already have something like that in their life, and it's just the matter of being intentional about it. Other people might have to create that. So it's like, okay, I'm going to join a cooking class, or I'm going to join whatever it is, a workout class that's the same time every Tuesday,
Mm.
and just meet the other people who are also there at the same time, because there's probably going to be a lot of people there who will never show up to your church on a Sunday morning,
Yeah.
but they will talk to you on Tuesday at cooking class. And
Yeah.
so how can I make a relationship and a friendship with them in this neutral ground, that they don't feel all this pressure, this weird whatever,
Mm.
and I just get to be their friend. Like, just going back to the practice of making friends and inviting them to my space. Hey, like, we hang out every Tuesday, at this place. I would love to have you over for dinner sometime. Come meet my kids, or whatever
Yeah.
it is. And then get to introduce them to more people in your church community, and just building that community around them and with them.
Yeah.
As you do that, be intentionally looking for ways to share your testimony, to share what God is teaching you, what's on your heart. And it doesn't have to be this scripted gospel presentation. It can be, hey, I'm head over heels in love with Jesus. Let me tell you about him,
Yeah.
and here's what I've been learning in church recently, or I love serving at my church in this area. Let me tell you about it. And just inviting people into your life as you're following God is testifying to the gospel. And
Yeah.
there does need to be clear gospel presentations too, but I think we can over structureize it when it's really
Yeah.
just be friends with people and care enough about them to share the love of God with them. It
Yeah.
really comes down to be that
It's
simple.
earth-shattering.
I know.
Be
It's
friends with
crazy.
people.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely my biggest encouragement to people, is just like, hey, just take a few more extra seconds to be intentional about the things that you're doing and the places that you're going. And then in sharing the gospel with people, my favorite tool to use is 3 circles. I don't
Hmm.
know if you guys use that at your church, or anything like that, but that's definitely a very helpful one.
Yeah.
Helps, I think, take the pressure off you being like, oh, I need to remember all the things, whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, use a tool, like,
Yeah.
use a tool. It
And that
will help.
one's so conversational.
Yes. Yes. So I recommend 3 circles to everybody, but
Yeah.
there's a billion different ones. Pick your favorite.
Yeah.
But I definitely always recommend using a tool. It helps so much more than you think it does.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, I think that's all of the questions I had for you. Final one is like, how can we support the work that you do in prayer financially? I don't know if you support Raise or if you're fully staffed by your church. If there's a way to like keep up with your college ministry that you're a part of. Um, any how do we support you and keep up with the work that you do and know how to pray for you?
Yeah. Great, great questions. Definitely prayer for the utmost is just, we need more laborers. And so you can think of Luke 10:2, pray that to the Lord of the harvest that he would send more laborers out, because the harvest is plentiful. And it's so true. I can testify so deeply and truly, the harvest is plentiful, but man, we need more laborers. We need more people in our church and from our church, from our community, and from the world. Like, I came from New Jersey to come and do this and to be here. But just people to take the gospel seriously and to respond to the call to be faithful in sharing it and to make disciples. We just definitely need more people to step up to that, and the Lord to be the one who empowers that in people.
Hmm.
So you can definitely be praying for that for our church as a whole, for the Pacific Northwest. It's just a very underreached area, and a very unchurched area, and we just need more
Yeah.
churches. We need more followers of Jesus who are gonna take the commands of Jesus seriously. So that's definitely a way we would love prayer
Yeah.
from you guys. And as far as following along with us, we are Living Hope Medford is pretty much us that's our website, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. You can follow us on all of those.
Okay.
And Engage, specifically our college ministry, we're engage.campus on Instagram. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we post
Okay.
pictures and things like that. And yeah, I am not specifically support raise, but we do fundraise as a church for our ministries and the things that we do. And we have a residency program here of looking to train up ministry leaders, missionaries, church planters. And actually, we're celebrating, it's almost exactly a year now that we sent out our first church plant and our first IMB missionary. So really exciting.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a couple, Taylor and Hannah Benton planted a church in Wairika, California last year. And then we sent out a missionary to Southeast Asia as a journeyman through the IMB last year as well. And so,
Wow.
yes, incredible. The Lord is doing some really, really awesome things. And
Yeah.
so we're always looking for more partners to join with. And we get mission teams that are here that help us throughout the summer and throughout the year. So we're always looking for ways to partner with more people and to join us in what the Lord is doing here.
Yeah. And I think our church is sending a team this summer.
You guys are sending two teams,
Two
actually.
teams. Okay. I know one's a roofing team and then
Mhm.
one is a non-roofing team.
Yes.
And I think the non-roofing deadline is maybe February 15th to sign up for that. So
Sure.
sure
Yeah.
that the info is down below in the video when I post it so that people can sign up for that trip to come and see you and serve alongside you.
Yeah. I would love to see you
So,
guys out here. Come and see
yeah.
it. That's how I
Yeah.
live out here. I came here for a week and now I live here. So you never know what you're seeing us to.
Yeah, I think your weather's a little better than ours. So,
It is 60 and sunny right now. So not gonna
okay.
lie, it's pretty
It's
nice.
actually, I think, 60 and rainy right now here. So,
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
but anyways, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it and enjoyed the evangelism pep talk.
Thanks. Yes, of course. Happy to do it.